Hello, everyone. Good evening to you all. I hope all of you are keeping well and safe given the current circumstances. Unfortunately, given what's happening all over the country and the world, we can only reach you through these online platforms, but we hope to keep everything tight and as close to you as much as possible. Well, to everyone who's joining, thank you very much for taking some time off on a Saturday like this and actually joining with us for a very informative session on something very timely and apt and important in today's day and age. Well, today we bring one of Slim's very exclusive webinars in the series of webinars that we have in fact been conducting since probably last March 2020. And today too, we have a very timely topic to discuss with a very special person who has actually agreed to come on board and influence a bunch of youngsters who might be pondering right now as to what their career course is all going to be about. So without further ado, today's topic is the growing future of the Sri Lankan pharma industry and medico marketing. Now, as we all know, Slim is very much into the lines of marketing. It acts as a platform for young marketers to exactly figure out a career path for themselves and acts as that core hub for youngsters, many of the school leavers and anyone who's willing to join. It functions as that platform to enrich a career in marketing. So likewise, today we want to touch upon one of their special qualifications that they offer under Slim, which is known as the Certificate in Pharmaceutical Marketing, which in fact I will explain to you what it's all about and how you exactly can enroll with Slim to follow this program towards the end of this course. So today, to talk about the growing future of the Sri Lankan pharma industry and how exactly the pharmaceutical marketing industry plays a big role in today's world, especially given that we have been struck with a global pandemic of this nature, we have with us one of the most experienced pharmaceutical marketers in Sri Lanka. He is the Senior Business Manager for AstraZeneca in Sri Lanka at Hemas, Mr. Riza Cassim. Good evening to you, Riza. Happy to have you here with us.
Good evening. Good evening.
I hope you're keeping well and safe. We've got like an hour of a good session to do, and I think we have a couple of good audience members also joining with us, wondering what pharmaceutical marketing is all about and how they themselves can start up a career and maybe think of a future in this field as marketing medical delegates. So just to give you a bit of background now, the pharmaceutical industry is such a vast and big industry in the world. And the pharma industry is actually one of the big three healthcare segments in the world. So today we hope to touch upon how this can how marketing can in fact be accompanied with this sector in Sri Lanka and what the future is like for the pharma industry in Sri Lanka and how a bunch of our youngsters, how a bunch of aspiring youngsters who's looking forward for a medical future, a future in pharmaceuticals with the help of marketing can really fathom out a fantastic career path. So before we delve into the certificate in pharmaceutical marketing, just to give you a quick heads up, Riza in fact will be telling you all about what the country holds, what the future holds for the pharmaceutical industry and marketing. And then we'll go in for a short Q&A session. And if you do have any questions, any queries regarding any of what Slim has to offer in terms of the certificate in pharmaceutical marketing and any of what Riza is presenting today, please do pose your questions on the Q&A and we'll take them up at the end. Riza, with that being said, I think I've taken too much of my time. Over to you. Please tell everything that you need to tell to our youngsters.
Thanks, Thilina. Thank you. Thank you, Slim, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much. And it's a real pleasure indeed to disseminate my knowledge of around 26 years with the young marketeers who are joined today. So that will be a great opportunity for them as well. So they can look at how noble this market is, actually, how unique this market is. So let me share the screen. Can you see the screen? Thilina, can you see the screen?
Yes, Riza. Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So let me start with the growing future of the Sri Lanka pharma industry and medico marketing. So this is going to be one of the most interesting sessions, I feel, a niche market and one of the noble and the sacred market that we are going to get into. So I will take you through the glimpse of the Sri Lankan pharma market. Then I will take you through the disease burden. What are the diseases that has a financial impact on Sri Lanka? And what is medico marketing? Just a touch on medico marketing. What is medico marketing? How digital medical marketing is done? And what are the campaigns and tools that will be used in digital marketing and even in a normal marketing era? And also the employee journey. I think this will be one of the most useful things for the youngsters, where they can go ahead and see how best their future can be shaped up with the medical marketing and also the pharmaceutical industry. So just to go through the glimpse of the Sri Lankan market. I have taken from the Fit Solutions Q4 2021. You know, the double digit, if you see the double digit expansion, now we are at 2020, we are having about 100 billion sales, annual sales. We are in about 5 years time, we are looking at forecasting around 113 billion. So we are virtually looking at a double digit expansion, even at a situation like this, even where the pandemic situation in Sri Lanka. So what are the key drivers that has taken you through from the 2020 100 billion to 113 billion in 2025? Let's see what are the key drivers that will take us through there. Number one, the Sri Lankan government has already supporting the local manufacturing. Now a lot of people are coming into local manufacturing, they are allowing investments, and they have given the buyback guarantee for everybody. So whatever the products that are manufactured is bought back by the government. So the government is encouraging the people to invest in the pharma market. So that is one of the key drivers that has taken us through this double-digit expansion. And also when it comes to the sedentary lifestyle of Sri Lankans, I would say if you see the aging population in Sri Lanka, over 60 in about 25 years. Now, presently at the moment, we have around 2.7 million people that are over 60 years. Going forward, in about 25 years time, that amount is going to get double. So you can just imagine the number of chronic care diseases, the disease burden is going to get increased, because when there's a lot of old people involved, there are a lot of chronic care diseases that are going to get increased. For an example, like obesity, the central obesity, whereas the diabetes, higher glucose levels, the hypertension, whereas the high blood pressure. So during this presentation, guys, I may be using some technical words as well. I'll try to keep this as much as simple as possible, but in some places I may have to use some of the technical terms. So this is one of the key factors. The sedentary lifestyle of the Sri Lankan people has caused a double-digit growth in most of the chronic care diseases like diabetes, hypertension, even obesity, even chronic lung diseases. So this is one of the key drivers where this pharmaceutical industry is driven for that double-digit growth. And also, very interestingly, if you see the government commitments toward the healthcare. Now, for example, in 2020, the government expenditure was around 629 billion, and we're talking about 1,123 billion in 2025. So what I want to say here is we have around 140,000 HCPs, that is consultant doctors, and also paramedics who are working in the government sector. So just imagine 140,000. And when it comes to Sri Lanka, it's one of the first class places where we have the best primary care prevention. We have an excellent vaccination system. We have eradicated polio. We have eradicated malaria. We have an excellent PHM, that is public health midwife system, public health inspector system. We are one of the best systems in the world. So most of our systems are actually copied by South Asian countries as well as the Middle East countries. So you can see the amount of money that the government is going to spend from 629 billion to 1,123 billion on the healthcare sector. So now you can see the importance of this particular healthcare industry and where the government is giving a very pronounced focus on that to have a better healthcare system. So let me go to the next slide. I had done a Thilina, you can hear me, I suppose. I think it got stuck a bit.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So I just go through a SWOT on the Sri Lankan market. So one of the major, I'll touch only key points here. The increasing demand from a population that is become increasingly wealthy. As you know, if you have asked me this question around 10 years ago, or maybe 20 years ago, we didn't have this much of middle class people who are having money, and also they are able to spend on healthcare, spend on wellness. So we have one of the major strengths of the industry is increased demand for a population that is becoming increasingly wealthy. And also the last point, if you see the government commitment towards improving the access to healthcare. So we have peripheral units, we have base hospitals, we have general hospitals, we have teaching hospitals, we have medical faculties, we have faculty hospitals. We have so much of accessibility to people to go and take medication. So that is one of the huge strengths the Sri Lankan pharma industry or the healthcare sector is having. So let's see one of the few weaknesses. The occasional shortage of essential medicines. Yes, this is acceptable in most of the situation because the country is going through a rapid problem with the dollar fluctuations. This is expected, the occasional shortage of essential medicine, and also the frequent infection disease outbreak. So as an example, if you take the dengue and the leptospirosis, so those are the diseases this on and off that comes and that affects the normal routine of the people. Let's take some opportunities. The growing burden of the non-communicable disease in aging population. As I was mentioning to you earlier, the growing burden of non-communicable disease is an opportunity, although as pharma industry or as an industry that we look after the patients, we always bless them with good health. The idea is to bless them with good health. The idea is to bring them the best medication and give them the optimal treatment for the disease they are causing. So although we had taken this, I'm explaining this as an industry, not as a personal thing. The growing burden of non-communicable disease in aging population is an opportunity. Other threats we have. The rupee depreciation, weighing on ability to import medicine and pharmaceutical sector development. So this is one of the major threats at the moment the global situation is facing at the moment. So if you see the SWOT, we have a few good strengths available. Yes, weaknesses are there, a huge opportunity. The disease burden is there, and also the threats are as well as there. So let me take you through the few disease burden. What is disease burden? Disease burden is something that is affecting the financial aspect of the country or a social aspect or a health or the health aspect. In 2020, if you take that now itself, diabetes and cardiovascular diseases are common in Sri Lanka that causes severe burden to the financial system of Sri Lanka. If I give an example to you, diabetes is growing at about 13% and almost 10.7% of the Sri Lankans are diseased with diabetes. And if you take cardiovascular disease, presently we have around 40% of our population is hypertensive. That means 40% of the populations are having pressure. And 66% of the population are obese. So you can imagine the disease burden in 2020. So let's see the 2030 figure. The cardiovascular, the diabetes is already there, but what has increased? The cancer has become a huge burden in 2030. These are all forecasted ones. Mental behavior and disorders has become a huge burden in 2030, and also the skeletal disorders. Now, see, if I give a comparison to you, the global prevalence of diabetes is around 9.3% in 2019. In Sri Lanka, it's around 10.7%. So this is a bit alarming because 27% of the Sri Lankan Colombo population, urban population, is supposed to be diabetic. So that is a very alarming situation, if you see. So moving forward, if you have asked me this question 10 years ago, urban population and the rural population, that is urban means the Colombo sector, the rural means the outside the Colombo sector, had a huge difference in the diabetes prevalence. But now when you see the prevalence has become, the gap has become very narrowed because of the abundance of food, and also they have the accessibility with their money. So all these things. So this is a very alarming situation. So Sri Lanka has a 10.7% prevalence at the moment, but some of the studies show Colombo has around 27%. So moving forward from 2020 to 2030, we will have a huge disease burden add up in comparison to respiratory, diabetes, cardiovascular. We have got cancer, mental behavior, muscular and skeletal disorders. So you can just imagine the situation where we are leading to. And that is the reason we are spending health budget is 4.2% of the GDP, where in 2030, it's going to increase to 5.8% of the GDP, as I mentioned in the earlier slide. So you can see how the government is funding to look after the people of Sri Lanka, how the disease burden is being transformed within a period of 10 years from diabetes to cancer, respiratory to cancer. So it is been growing continuously. So this is an interesting slide, and I would say if you see the last year, this is Q1 2020, that is January, February, March 2020, and going back second quarter, April, May, June, like that, we are going down to the quarter 1 of 2020, that is the 2021, January, February, March. This is the market growth. See, in 2019, the market had drastically grown quarter by quarter. So that means 3 months by 3 months. Quarter by quarter, it has completely grown, but it has drastically come down within the period of COVID. As you know, in 2020 second quarter, I can believe, or the first quarter end, there was a lockdown. So since the lockdown was continuing, the market growth, although the value and the volume is growing, the market growth has drastically come down from 19 to 5.4%. So it is expected from the second quarter to shoot up a bit from this. So we are expecting the figures very soon. So why is this? Why is this? If you see the diabetes, the cardiovascular, the nervous, everything has grown. The respiratory and the antibiotics has completely degrown. This is because of the clear hygiene of people. People were wearing masks and people were looking after themselves. People were washing hands. So the complete market drop is there in respiratory, and also the market drop is there in antibiotics, because once there's no respiratory disease, there is a lull in the antibiotic market. So it's very clear how the market has behaved, how the COVID has affected the Sri Lankan market. But if you see the global comparison with this, it's almost the same, except New Zealand is almost the same. It has gone down drastically, but it will pick up. So, but if you see the chronic diseases, all the chronic diseases have grown. So market is mainly driven at this moment by respiratory and the anti-infectives. Because of that only, the entire market has come down. I hope you got a clear idea on this, the present situation of the Sri Lankan market. Although the value is growing, the volume is growing, the growth quarter by quarter has gone down. But fortunately, there will be a growth coming up in the future. So it's a very interesting data that I got it from Singapore. So where they were trying to compare the Asian countries. Mortality, that is the death. If you see in 2009, you see this side, ischemic heart disease, that means heart attacks and diseases related to the heart. If I say in a very layman's word, it remains what causes more deaths in ischemic heart disease is in 2009 also number one. In 2019 also it's number one. So even now, the heart attacks and related cardiac related events are causing the death as the highest rate. But when you take a stroke, that is number two. But see diabetes. Diabetes as in 2009 it was number 4. Now it has increased to number 3. So it has gone up. Asthma from number 5 to number 4. But see the conflict of terror. Now in 2009 we had the war. We had the LTT war. So because of that, that was causing the third number of deaths, highest deaths. But now since it's not there, it has gone to 56. So now you can see the trend, the global trend with diabetes, asthma, chronic kidney diseases. As you know, this is CKD, CKDU, everything has gone up. So this is a very alarming situation. So this gives you the complete feedback in 2009, what is the death rate, and 2019, what is the death rate. So let's move forward. Okay, this is a very important slide that will be on financial implications caused by COVID to pharma industry. I think this is mainly for the organizations and also the stakeholders. The number one, difficulty in finding foreign currency. The reduction of foreign reserves in Sri Lanka has gone down. We all know that. We all every day it's been discussed in TV and everywhere. The difficulty in finding foreign currency, the reduction of foreign reserve position in Sri Lanka has been resulted to create foreign currency deficit. So since we do not have much foreign currency, we have problem in importing essential pharma items. Number two, due to non-paying of the bills, since we do not have much foreign currency, the dues has to be paid. The dues cannot be paid. So because of that, they are not supplying for us. Number three, the exchange rate has gone up. We know how the dollar was. Dollar was around 180, 190. Now we know how the exchange rate is gone up. This is really affecting us. And also the demurrages we pay. And there are so many restrictions in the customs, even, and also the restrictions of the people who are working there are less, and the number of restriction in goods that we are bringing. So we have to pay higher demurrages, and that affects the profitability. And also this is the disposable income has gone down. So people have a choice now whether to go for their desires, preferences, or whether to go for the essentials. So they take the desires and the preferences and go for the essentials. So that is, since that has really shrunk the market. Also, millions of rupees are spent by the organizations on PPEs. So we know like they provide for every delegate or every employee who is working, the office is paying you everything, and even they are taking care of you. So millions of rupees have been spent on that. So these are one of the major financial implications. It is unexpected financial implications faced by present organizations. And also the government overdues to pharma companies. So this is a major issue where a lot of pharma companies, they have to receive millions of rupees from the government. So due to the present prevailing situation on the government, millions of rupees are overdue. So if you see the financial implications of COVID-19, the pharma industry has really stuck from top to bottom. Every corner of it is being really stuck. Every corner of it been really stuck. So it is every industry, not only pharma industry, I believe, every industry may be facing at least one or two of these common issues. But these are the most common issues that are faced by the pharma industry. So let's see what the principals are facing. Principal, for example, principals mean the suppliers. They have the global problem of acquiring raw materials, their financial implications, their prioritization to supply countries. They may have to prioritize, okay, this product has to go to this country, that product has to go to that country, like that they have to prioritize. Because they're having challenges. The patients, so we are talking about the patient, accessibility towards healthcare professions. They have a huge problem. They were going like once in 3 months, once in 4 months for their regular checkup. Now they do not have the accessibility. Accessibility is curtailed. There is a movement restriction. And accessibility towards pharmacies, they have the phobia, the timely vaccination problem, and the reduction in the disposable income. So if you see as a whole, patient is very much affected with these COVID challenges. I'm taking this example because we are talking about the pharma industry. And how about the delegates or company representatives who are working in the field? Their accessibility to a hospital has gone down. Their accessibility towards healthcare profession has gone down. They have limitations and of campaigns and themes, and their day-to-day core competency developments of training has gone down. So it has overall, it has affected the organization. Overall, it has affected the stakeholders and also all the employees, and even the patients have been affected. Let's get into this. What is medical marketing? I think the whole today's program, I think I gave a glimpse of the Sri Lankan industry to you. So what is medical marketing? We have a customer, we have a target audience, we have a message to pass, we have a relationship to build up, we have a value to give, we have a value to capture. So we have covered all the piece of marketing in that explanation. But when it comes to medical marketing, it's not medical marketing. Please understand that medical marketing is done by hospitals. They are marketing, they are packages, they are whatever they have. So it's done by the hospitals. Medical marketing is basically a mix of everything. But the difference is we are passing an evidence-based data or a concept pertaining to the disease. So I hope you understand. We are passing an evidence-based message or a concept pertaining to the disease. So that is called the medical marketing. So the conventional medical marketing is this. I think everybody who may have seen while they're in the hospitals, a delegate staying outside, going to the doctor's room, detailing the product to him, handing over a sample, and having a chat with him about the disease, having a chat with him about the new findings, having a chat with him about what's happening with the organization. So this is a typical normal medical marketing system that used to go around. But now we have the restrictions. We can't access hospitals. We can't access most of the places due to this COVID pandemic. at the best interest of the patient, at the best interest of us, and the best interest of the doctor, of the HCP. HCP means healthcare profession. So now, where do we go from here? At the digital medical marketing. Now, we can't go to the doctor physically. So we are looking at a digital option to go to the healthcare profession and detail our product or share our new findings or share our brands in a digital way. Now, if you say the digital marketing is an umbrella term used for marketing of products or services using digital technologies, mainly on internet or maybe mobile phones, maybe apps, or maybe whatever the digital format. So digital medical marketing is dependent on the company's SOP. For an example, company A may have an SOP where digital marketing is not allowed. But company B says, okay, digital marketing is allowed. We are in compliance with the digital marketing. We can be more specific to the customer. We can be more customer oriented, more target oriented. We can see more time we can spend with the customer and pass a correct message and get the maximum return on investment by doing the digital marketing. So as you know now, maybe a lot of people maybe know what is digital marketing. We have call centers, we have Facebook apps, or maybe we have webinars, we have search engines, we have platforms, we have emails, we have WhatsApp. So there are so many. So delivering evidence-based information for the healthcare profession for optimum treatment of the patients via digital media. So this gives you the fantastic explanation. What is digital medical marketing? Okay, this is very interesting. This is very interesting. When you take digital marketing adherence, if you take the digital marketing adherence, if we asked you maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago, the digital adherence is very less, even for internet or even for a digital platform via HCP. If you see this, it's very interesting slide here. We have 48%, 30% says digital is the best. And 22% says the reps are the best, but equally capable is 48%. That means it's going towards the digital side. Fitting the schedule, obviously, yes, digital is the best. Fitting the schedule itself, we are going towards taking a minimum time of the HCP for the detailing. So that is exactly the digital marketing really comes here. And also, if you see the adherence, from 2017, 2018, and 2019, if you see the adherence have increased drastically from 2017 to 2019 in the website. So that means the consultants or the doctors or the healthcare professions access these units, access the websites very often in comparison with 2017, 18, and 2019. So this may never go down. This may go up continuously. This will go up continuously. This may go up continuously. So Thilina, can you hear me, Thilina? Thilina?
Yes, I can hear you, Riza.
Yeah, okay, okay, sure. Okay. So moving forward, if you see this 2017, 18, 19. So moving forward in 2020 or 2021, this may increase it further because you don't need to get interaction. You straight away, whatever the time you like, you can go into the net and see. So at your liberty, you can get into the websites and you can access it. So this is going to be the future. So this is a good question. Are the doctors tech savvy? Are the paramedics, are they savvy on the tech? Yes, they are also adapting to this. They are 100% they are getting into this because they find, they are not wasting time, and they are not wasting time by getting into a digital forum. They can spend at least 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even when they're having lunch, they can look at it. They don't need to spend the time, a separate time for it. So because of that, they are learning that. And they are also now high tech because they are also presenting globally. So actually it's yes. So what are the objectives of Medico digital marketing? So reach the target audience, engage with your audience, maximize return on investments, motivate your audience to take your action. So see, if you see the objectives, it's very specific objective, very smart objectives. But when it comes to benefits of digital marketing, amazing. It's very economical, time saving, very flexible, whatever the time, or we can send him a recording. He can look at it at whatever the time he needs. Very impactful because this can be tailor-made only pertaining to his needs. And also instant feedbacks, real-time analysis. So now you can see, the advantages of digital medical marketing. So this is going to be the future within the next 5 years or 10 years. This is going to be the real turnaround in this business and real future for everybody. What are the methods? I think I may not have touched this. I think I touched it in earlier slides. We have the remote detailing, mobile apps, landing pages, videos, emails, surveys, e-learning, so on and so forth. Okay, this is very interesting. What is artificial intelligence? It's basically a simulation of human intelligence possessed by machines. The best example is a robot. Whatever we tell, the robot does. We get into the car, unless we put the bell, the car doesn't start. That's artificial intelligence. So in healthcare sector, AI is being used globally in a high-tech way. We are to find out a lot of things. So maybe I'll explain to you. Novel medications, predictions, clinical researches, drug discoveries, data analysis, disease diagnosis. So I will give you a small example. In a center in UK, they had a point of sales like a touch screen, where every diabetic patient who comes there, they had to fill a form. So they had to just touch it. So in that screen, what they do is they go to the screen, they put their name or whatever, X or whatever, if the name is not there. If you're diabetes, yes. If your this HbA1c level is this, you just put a touch there. Then they say your microalbuminuria, what is the touch? You just touch there. So like that, they touch it and they go back. So they found out after around 6 months, while they did this analysis, the artificial intelligence, the entire population who came there are heading towards a chronic kidney disease with higher levels of microalbuminuria. So these are, I'm just giving you an example, since the example is very common. So these are the things the artificial intelligence helps you out to find and make precision decision and also optimal treatment to the patient. And in our case, actually, if you see the pharmaceutical industry, pharmaceutical delegates, the artificial intelligence gives us improving productivity, prioritizing whatever the day-to-day calls, focus on the right doctors, digital engagements, identification of the patient population. With this artificial intelligence, it helps us to identify the key opinion leader, engage with the key opinion leader, follow up with the key opinion leader, exact message to the key opinion leader. Everything can be. So actually, most of the pharma companies now itself are following these methods, and that gives a high impact and high value to the medical delegate who's going to the field. touch upon few things that you may have to know about these things since newcomers also have joined in this. What is compliance? Now, this term is very commonly used by the multinational companies, and this came into the scene around 10 years ago or maybe 12 years ago. Compliance is something adhering to a rule such as a policy, standard, or a specification. So for an example, organization A says you have to do these meetings in such manner. This is the way to do it. So that means they are standard operating procedure. So we have the MNC, the multinational company says, oh, okay, this is the way we should do the meeting. Then we have a controlling body in Sri Lanka called as the Sri Lanka Chamber of the Pharmaceutical Industry, where they give us the guidance on compliance. So now we have three compliance. We have our organization compliance, we have our representing principal compliance, and we have the Chamber of the Pharmaceutical Industry compliance. We have three compliance available. In that case, what do we do? In that case, what do we do? So what they do is, in a situation like that, you have to adhere to the most strictest SOP. If my organization says not to do it, if my principal says to do it, but I have to adhere to the most strictest one. That is the organization says not to do it. So compliance is something that is very important. Whatever the company that is operating in Europe or even America, compliance is a must. So this helps us in auditing, better transparency. So everything is given by the compliance. So this is one of the major sectors, major developments that has come within the last 12 years in the pharma industry. Pharmacovigilance, yes. So don't think about anything, just think. Pharmacovigilance means the side effect of the drug, that's all. The side effect of the drug. So I'm not using a different word also, I'm using a side effect of the drug. The science, this is the definition, don't think about the definition. The science and activities related to the detection, assessment, understanding of the adverse effects. What the importance of pharmacovigilance? Why the side effect is important? Why we should report the side effects? Pharmacovigilance ensures rigorous testing of drugs, improve patient care, reduce risk of negative adverse effects. So what is adverse effect? Adverse effect means I'm using a drug. For an example, I am using a paracetamol. When I use a paracetamol, I use it for fever. Okay, while I'm using paracetamol for fever, my fever came down, but suddenly I got a stomachache. So what is it? It's an unexplainable condition after the drug is being used. That is called the adverse effect. It's an unexplainable situation. So why this unexplainable situation has to be reported? Because most of the time, unexplainable situation can cause a lot of harm to the people. For an example, when we develop a drug, the drug is developed in controlled conditions and the studies are done in controlled situations. Once it is done in controlled situations, they really can't find out exactly how the drug will behave in a real world situation. So real world situation means drug is put for all types of people, all ages of people, all multinational, all ethnic people, how they will react. So pharmacovigilance is utmost important to find out the ongoing process and ongoing safety of the drug during its life cycle. I hope it's clear for you. Let me touch upon a few things. I think, Thilina, how am I with the time, Thilina?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, because the last 3 slides are the most important. So
Absolutely.
for the crowd who has joined, so I want to emphasize more on that. So whatever the drug that comes to Sri Lanka is being regularized, is licensed, and it can't come to the Sri Lankan market without getting the pre-approval of the Sri Lankan government, of the health authority. So in the Parliamentary Act in 2015, the NMRA So this NMRA, National Medicines and Regulatory Authority, controls the inward flow of the drug, post-marketing surveillances, the safety during the life cycle of the product, and everything pertaining to the drug, pertaining to clinical trials, everything is controlled by NMRA. So you can't bring any drug without the permission of NMRA. So that means Sri Lanka is a highly regulated market, and regulations is considered and controlled by NMRA. So if you see a new drug, a generic product, so this is the normal way of submission for approvals. The manufacturing site has to be registered, then you apply for the sample license, then the dossier, then the approval comes. This is for the generic products. But for the innovator products, if it is a new product, it has to go to the evaluation committee, then move forward in the same way. So this has specific time periods as per the Sri Lankan law. So this is the normal way of registering a drug. So please understand, in Sri Lanka, whatever the pharmaceutical that is being bought is highly regularized. You can't bring anything without registering to Sri Lanka. So NMRA is, if I just put this slide to you to look at it. See, the one of the major objectives of NMRA to ensure quality, safety, and efficacious drugs. And also they are in charge of registration, licensing, pricing, manufacturing, and also recommendation for appropriate law. So everything in Sri Lanka pertaining to the drug is regulated and observed by NMRA. So we have a very good, excellent system in that manner. Moving forward, I just want to touch on demand forecasting and planning. If I tell you this, this is mainly demand forecasting and planning means it's inventory control. So we need to have a proper inventory control in Sri Lanka, in organization, to have a smooth flow of drugs to be sold, a smooth flow of drugs to be given to the patients. So demand forecasting and planning is a completely different section. Highly technicality is involved in that, and they work with so many factors that you can have a look at it. They are identifying the correct demand, arranging of correct quantities, considering the production lead times, monitoring, closing up order stocks. So they have complete process of doing it. Now, guys may be thinking why I am trying to tell you about pharmacovigilance, compliance, demand planning, NMRA, the tender business. Why I am telling this? So see, pharma industry jobs doesn't narrow you down only to the commercial side or only to the product side. The pharma industry has a lot of shared services like this. So it is all technicality involved, all regulated involved, everything. So you have a huge opportunity as a youngster who comes in here to look into all these shared services. So don't think pharma industry means, you carry a bag and go and sell. It's not the case. See the amount of shared services a company should have to have a smooth run. So this is utmost important to you to know. There are so many opportunities available once you are in the pharma industry. Demand planning forecasting is a completely different thing. Pharmacovigilance, I will show in the next slide, is a completely different thing. So you have a hell of a lot of opportunities in the pharma industry once you join, even as a shared service or a back office staff. So let me just, since I can't go more further on this, this is a very sensitive area, campaigns and tools. Now, this is more of a commercialized, more of a business oriented side, so I don't want to touch it that much, but I'll give you a small brief on that. How do you do campaigns? What are the tools that you will use to in campaigns? So identification of patient pool. Okay, I'll give you an example for this. Geographical disease burden. Yes, I'll give an example for this. I gave you. And identification of the unmet needs. Now say, identification of the patient pool. Now, we'll say in Sri Lanka, we need to find out how many patients are there on diabetes. How many are type 1? How many are type 2? Okay. How many are taking X brand of X generic product? How many are taking sulfonylureas? How many people are taking biguanides? How many people are taking SGLT? So how many people are taking each class? We need to find out. And also we can, that is one way of looking at the patient pool. And other way of looking at the patient pool is looking at the disease burden. Okay, we have X number of coronary artery disease patients. We have X number of patients who are with heart failure. We have X number of patients who have a reduced ejection fraction. We have X number of patients who are taking this particular drug. So what we do, we make a funnel out of it. I'll give an example of the funnel. This is called the funnel. So we have a 2 million diabetic base in Sri Lanka. We have 1 million patients on statins. We have 520,000 on one particular brand of statin. We have 480,000 on other brand of statin. We have 27,000 will get post MI, that means heart attack, a year. Out of that, 16,500 will go stenting. So see, now we exactly, this is one of the tools we use. We exactly know how many patients who are on stenting. So if a drug is being used to this particular stenting area, we exactly know whom to target, how many are there, like how much of sales that we can expect from this, or how much of information that we can give it to these doctors. And we know exactly this is the pool. So we have only 16,500 patients undergoing stenting in Sri Lanka. So these are called the patient funnels. So these patient funnels are done as a tool to identify the patient numbers, and moving forward, that will be more focused marketing tool. Actually, I can talk about and I can show you thousands of tools that are used in pharmaceutical marketing, but I just got you an example of this. So going back, I want to show you one particular thing, the identification of the unmet need. I'll give you an example for this. I think whoever who is a young marketer should know about this unmet need. We have a diabetic patient. We give a diabetic drug. The HbA1c or the levels come down. Okay, we are happy with that. But it doesn't prevent from you getting a cardiovascular disease. So whilst you are treating diabetes, you need to have a drug that will look after your cardiovascular disease also. So that is an unmet need of a diabetic patient. I hope it's clear for you. That's an unmet need of a diabetic patient. So we are looking at a patient whose diabetes is controlled, but he may get a heart attack. So how come we look into that sector? So this is called the unmet need. So the campaigns and the tools that we are using, we use in view of finding out these three particular indications: the patient pool, the disease burden, and the unmet needs. So all the campaigns and the tools are directed after we use this tool and find out the data, and we have to use the campaigns as per the data we have identified. So this is one of the major tools that we use, the funneling, and also HCP interaction with unmet needs. So this is a vast subject. Okay, I think this is going to be very interesting. This is going to be very interesting. Medical delegate employee journey. So I think we have a few journeys available. One is the commercial journey. So this is, everybody knows about this journey. So I joined as a medical representative. I joined in 1994 as a medical delegate. So the journey goes like this: medical representative, senior medical representative, a field coordinator, a sales manager, maybe a marketing manager, maybe a business manager like me. So each segment has their JD. the job description of them. You can see the commercial journey is very straightforward. In every aspect of this commercial journey, this is where the slim comes to play. This is where the slim will help you to move from here to here, from here to here to here to here. With all the education that they offer, they will really help you out with this certificate in pharmaceutical marketing or whatever they are, all the degrees. These are the qualifications that will add up to you to move on this ladder. This ladder is very clear. You become a delegate, senior delegate, field coordinator, you become to sales manager, then you come to marketing manager and business manager as a strategic level. This can be operational level, this can be a complete strategic level. So this is a very straightforward journey of a medical delegates. So let's come to the other one. That's the most interesting part. All the product journey. Here we go. A person who becomes a senior medical delegate or maybe a field coordinator. From there, he decides, okay, I don't want to go on the commercial journey. I want to go on the journey of product development. I'll tell you this particular journey, this particular side, there's a huge lack in Sri Lanka. Huge lack in Sri Lanka. We need quality product executives. We need quality product managers. So this is a huge opportunity for the youngsters to move into this side. So we have the product executive, the early stage that breaks off from field coordinator. He identifies the ground needs. He identifies what's happening, what is the unmet need, as I mentioned to you. Then it move forward with the product manager, responsibility in product planning, execution, and whatever the plans. So these two are, you can have a marketing qualifications. You will have the ongoing training from the pharma industry, ongoing training from the organization that is given to you. You may need a basic pharma qualification or maybe basic pharma qualification, maybe a pharmacist or those are the marketing qualifications. But moving forward, now this is a new thing. It's called the Clinical Services Liaison Officer. Now, in this case, you may have maybe we'll say a dip in marketing or maybe a pharmaceutical marketing or maybe enough product knowledge that is given by the industry to you. But when it comes to here, you need to have a pharma qualification or maybe a pharmacology qualification. Now, this is called the Clinical Services Liaison Officer. I don't know whether you may have not heard about it, but most of the pharma companies now have it, all the multinationals. They can go to the HCP and discuss label related issues. For an example, they can go to the doctor and say, this particular paracetamol, this label shows these are the indications. And in globally, there are new indications are coming that is inserted in global data. So he can discuss with the clinical service liaison officer. So he is mainly a person who discusses label things. That means he is involved in sales as well. So he can only discuss label things. But moving forward, you have a MSL. Some places MSL is a M-Pharma or MBBS doctor. So MSL can discuss with the doctor off-label things. Now, for an example, I would say rather than off-label, I would say the unmet needs. For an example, he can go and discuss with the doctor about something completely not related to the product. Completely not related to the product. So medical services liaison officer is somewhat a researcher, somewhat finds out what is needed to the market and gets back and give the feedback to the organization. So these two fields, in Sri Lanka, we may have around 2 of the clinical service liaison officers, and medical MSL, we may have around, I would say, another 2 maximum. Actually, every pharma company should have a clinical service liaison officer and everyone should have a medical services liaison officer. But in some case, these two are bypassed in Sri Lanka now. So we have a medical advisor. So the product manager directly goes and reports to the medical advisor. So medical advisor is a person who is looking after pharmacovigilance, as I told you, the adverse effects, and looking after the compliance. Compliance is the SOP, the laws of the country, laws of doing business, ethical way of running business. So these two are cut off at the moment in Sri Lanka, but in other countries you will have. But here the product manager directly reports to the medical advisor. Moving forward, in US, in other countries, they have product physicians, where the medical advisor reports to the product physicians. So now you can see the lucrative of this journey, the lucrativeness of this pharmaceutical field. And I'll tell you guys who are joined here, maybe non-pharma people, whenever you see a medical delegate in the hereafter, just go and have a chat with them. See how competent they are. They are well trained. They are well customized. They are well focused. The industry, the organization has given them a complete competency training for them. They are not ordinary people who just carry bags and go. They are top class professionals. So you can see from this complete setup how this market is so lucrative, how this market is so noble. So the last slide, the future of healthcare in Sri Lanka. Guys, come join this fantastic field. There may be only around 1,500, 2,000 people in this. It's a noble field, and you will never get a chance to join a field like this. You have the opportunity to help so many people, because as you know, if it is there are young delegates, how many people can come and ask you about this drug, that drug, can you help? See the nobleness of this particular trade. And also you will be able to help millions of people in this country. And I'll tell you, the future with pharma industry is lucrative, immense, unbelievable. Thank you, Thilina. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Riza. Thank you very much for an extensive session on explaining what the future of the pharmaceutical industry is holding for many of the young aspiring medical delegates who are willing to get into this industry, and how exactly marketing can be incorporated into the lives and careers of those individuals as well. So thank you very much. I believe we have a couple of viewers who have in fact joined with us, and for those of you who actually missed out on who exactly Riza is when I first explained it, well, Riza is the Senior Business Manager for AstraZeneca in Sri Lanka, and he's a pharmaceutical marketer himself, and he's a very compassionate and marketer who's very interested in the field of pharmaceutical marketing or the pharma industry, and he carries with him 4.5 years of experience as the head of as the business head for AstraZeneca, and also 11 years of experience from executive to brand head as part of Pfizer, and also the list just keeps going on. But in the meantime, thank you very much, Riza, once again for sparing the time with us this evening and actually giving us a glimpse of what the pharmaceutical market is all going to be like in the next few years. And what really interested me was the data that you had presented in terms of Sri Lanka and what sort of a future holds for many of our citizens over here in Colombo and the rest of the country, especially when it comes to diabetes and other forms of health concerns. I'm not going to delve into those right now, but thank you very much once again for joining with us this evening. And to all our viewers, the Q&A session is open for you. If you do have any questions, make sure you post them up on our Q&A session. But in the meantime, I myself have a few questions that I want to have a casual chat with you, Riza. Firstly, I just want to quickly take you to the product journey that you mentioned just 2 slides back. And I was going through that and what you explained on the commercial journey. So given the current circumstances existing in the world or in Sri Lanka, what do you think motivates anyone or any one of our viewers or anyone who's out there to take up a product journey than a commercial journey? What's the key factor driving them to take up a product journey?
I would say it's actually the commercial journey as well as the product journey is equally important in the pharma industry. It's like the MasterCard and Visa card. It's a choice. You can either have the MasterCard or either have the Visa card. So if I'm given that opportunity to move forward, what journey to pick up, what I will do is, with my background of science and everything, I may take up, after some time of the commercial journey, I may take up the product journey, because I see a huge gap in Sri Lanka in all pharma industry in the product journey. There are a lot of people in the commercial journey, but in the product journey, you may have a very few number of people. So it's a choice actually. It doesn't, for me, it motivates to go to the product journey. Since I know it, whoever I take up, I will push them. Come on, guys, after 2 sessions, let's go into this side, because this side, there's a huge vacuum. We can move forward in there. It's a choice, Thilina, it's a choice.
All right. Thanks, Riza. Now, something else that actually that hit me when I actually went through your slides was that, okay, the pharmaceutical market has been existing for quite some time, even if it's a niche market over here in Sri Lanka. What are the key drivers of a pharmaceutical market? What drives it?
Good question, Thilina, good question. I think I explained this in one of the first slide or the second slide, I believe. What are the key drivers? One is the healthcare reforms. So what are the reforms that is done by the government to make the betterment? Other one can be the new technology. As I said, the AI, the new technology that is used. So that will elaborate and drive. Third one can be the new molecules that are coming into the market. There are so much of new molecules coming in, so that is a big drive. Fourth one can be about the ailments. Now, as I told you, when it comes to diabetes, when it came to hypertension, we have a double-digit growth, we have a huge prevalence. So those are major drives. And also we can think about the branded drugs, new branded drugs coming into the market, and also other way around, off-patent drugs that have got the out of patency also, with the price war they can come in. So there are several factors, Thilina. So all look good.
All right. Thanks, Riza. We have received one question from one of our attendees on the event. So he or she wants to know, now, COVID-19 has been hampering most of our daily activities, our lives, since probably December 2019, or at least Sri Lanka from the beginning of March 2020. Now, Sri Lanka constantly is on a very difficult path given the current circumstances, continuous lockdowns, government pressure and confusion in different parts of society. So given these, let's look at the pharmaceutical market from a medical delegate's perspective. Let's say you have a bunch of youngsters who are looking forward to, in fact, getting into this pharma industry and looking forward for a good career. But right now, it seems as if their careers are also put on hold, or it's as if it's facing somewhat of a backward break rather. So in which case they want to know, given these challenges, given these challenging times, what is it like? What's the future like for a medical delegate who's looking for a career right now at this point?
Good question. In comparison with all the other trades at the moment, what is the trade that is moving forward? The one is the food trade, the other one is the pharma trade. If you see the travel trade, if you see the cargo, you see the hospitality, everything has crashed. I hope you will agree with me, Thilina. Everything has crashed. But what are the sectors that are growing? As I showed it to you, we have a quarter to quarter 5.84% growth. What is the so I would suggest as a youngster even, this is one of the best fields even at this juncture to join, because this field will never go down. Even in comparison with food, as a food, the field will never go down. And as I mentioned, all the other fields today, hotels are closed, resorts are closed, and what are the booming industries? IT, maybe pharmaceuticals, maybe food. So I don't think, even at this moment, if you join, even at this moment, if you join, it will be more lucrative. And the advantage of joining it now, you can spend more time in training, more time in developing yourself, more time in seeing your future with that. So I hope this is the field to join even at this moment.
Absolutely. I think there are no limits or stoppages for a sector like healthcare or pharmaceutical as we move on. So on that note, there is also one more question from Dr. Mohan Jayatilaka, and he wants to know whether you need to be a pharmacist to become a product manager.
Thank you, sir, for joining. Thank you very much for joining, sir. To become a product manager, you may not need to have a pharmacist, because whatever the training, whatever the in-house training that is given to you, that will be more sufficient to you to become a product manager. Because in your journey of product manager, it takes around maybe 6 years, 7 years. By that time, you are exposed to all the global trainings and the Sri Lankan trainings. But to become a product manager, you do not need a medical or pharmacist qualification. But moving forward from that, if you want to be a clinical service license officer, you may need a B Pharm. So, or D Pharm. Moving forward from there onwards, you may need a M Pharm. So to become a product manager, it's only going to be a value addition rather than it's a compulsory degree. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jayatilaka, and thank you, Riza. I think as we're just closing in on our final segment for today, I just want to ask you, just before we wind up, I hope, unless we have a few more questions that are coming in. So we have a couple of marketers, young marketers who might just be on this webinar right now, who's looking forward for a fantastic future in the pharma industry. So for them, I think this question will be very valid. How do you think, in your opinion, Riza, how can a young marketer benefit by joining the pharma industry, or what is the future like for a young marketer who's willing to join the pharma industry?
Exactly. Now, I think I have gone through the curriculum of the pharmaceutical certificate in pharmaceutical marketing curriculum, and looking at that, they have covered most of the basic requirements of a medical delegate should have to start up his work as soon as possible. Now, if I see maybe 30 years ago, we didn't have anything like this to get into. We didn't have anything about pharmaceuticals market. We didn't know anything about pharmaceutical market. We spend a lot of time, a real-time situation to study that. But now you have this particular certificate where you can straightforward, as a platform, you can start straightforward, you can get into the pharmaceutical industry. So what I suggest is, for the young young marketeers, follow this course. It's a fantastic one. You will get a basic idea. So once you are being interviewed by an organization or a good pharma company, this is going to be a fantastic value addition for you. So based upon that, you can move forward in this career. So come join us. This is the field of the future. Thank you.
This is the field of the future. There you have it to all our viewers. Thank you very much once again, Riza. But I personally have just one last question just before we wind up.
Yes,
now we know you are the business head for AstraZeneca, a term that is used right now in the world over in Sri Lanka. A lot of people have multiple questions, but I just want you, if you do have a quick, small, brief summary of what the AstraZeneca vaccine is all about, in your opinion, that would be fine.
It's a tough because thing is there are limitations to me to talk about the vaccines because the vaccines comes from government to government, from G to G. So that means it's been licensed to the SPC to bring the product and distribute it among the hospitals only. So it is not being allowed to market in any of the private sectors. So it's very unlikely, even until 2024 or 23, it's very unlikely that we will be marketing this product in the private sector. So as you know, this vaccine is one of the amazing manufacturing process of AstraZeneca, whereas still to find a vaccine for dengue, still to find a vaccine for malaria, but see, within 1 year, we have a vaccine for COVID. It's an amazing finding of AstraZeneca. And so I can't give you more information. I can't share you. I'm not authorized to share more information on that. So let's protect Sri Lanka from COVID. And thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Riza. Well, that's pretty much it from our end this evening to all our viewers. A big thank you to everyone who joined with us this evening. It's been a pleasure. And on behalf of the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing, a big thank you goes out to Mr. Riza Cassim. Thank you, sir, for joining with us this evening and sparing some time to actually give a very insightful session on the future of the pharmaceutical industry of Sri Lanka, where it is now, where it is heading, and where we are placed right now, and what the future holds, what the future beckons for young aspiring medical delegates who are out there, who's in fact on this session right now. Thank you very much for joining with us. And on a closing note, I have to mention to anyone who's wondering about the qualification presented by the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing for medical delegates. It is known as the Certificate in Pharmaceutical Marketing, which is a course conducted for medical delegates who are already employed in pharmaceutical companies or who are just after school, looking forward for a career in in the pharmaceutical industry. Now, the Certificate in Pharmaceutical Marketing, or Pharma, is a 6 months course which combines the professional expertise of the pharmaceutical trade together with the inputs of the Sri Lanka Chamber of Pharmaceutical Industry and SLIM as well. So the course has been designed to fulfill a long-felt need for a certified level qualification for many of the medical delegates out there. So if you do have any questions and queries regarding this course and anything related to taking up a course at SLIM, you can dial up Oshada on 071 979 8586. Oshada is your point of contact if you need any additional information on the certificate in pharmaceutical marketing and anything else that SLIM may have to offer. You can dial him up 071 979 8586. On that note, I think we're pretty much done for this evening. Until we meet you again with a fabulous webinar of this sorts, thank you very much to all our viewers. Once again, thank you very much for joining with us. We hope we have been able to get through to you in some way, shape or form, given the current circumstances. We hope things will be better for Sri Lanka in the future as soon as possible, so that we all can resort back to some form of normalcy and actually bring these sorts of webinars in the form of seminars to you as we move on. Thank you very much, Riza, for joining with us once again. Thank you, Slim. You're most welcome. Thank you very much, Slim, for giving me the chance to be your moderator this evening. I am Thilina Udayaratne, and let's hope to meet soon as we move on. Thank you very much once again, and have a great evening.
Thank you.